Hey guys, this is Rob Paulson, and you're listening to the GeekCast Radio Network.
You are now on the inside of what I like to call the circle of trust. We are all connected in the great circle of life.
You know something, Bert? What? I think you and I are going in circles.
It feels like we're going in circles.
The circle is now complete. When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
Because it's a circle.
Yeah, we heard about the circle.
Yes, we're familiar with shapes.
Hi, this is Chuck.
This is Greg.
And this is Dan, and we are Talking in Circles, brought to you by the GeekCast Radio Network, a podcast that's all about the news of the weird. I say that because this week we'll be talking about those strange but true news stories as we get into the weird and wacky of, the world. I'm sure we'll talk about Florida in some capacity because that's what we do. But before we get to all the craziness, how's the week been going for you guys?
Not too bad. Pretty excited because I got to have some meatloaf leftovers tonight, so that's always fun time.
Meatloaf. Did you yell, "Your mom, get me some meatloaf" while that was happening?
Yeah, I had some guy over my couch like, "Mom, meatloaf now!" You gotta love. I think meatloaf tastes like better as leftovers. It's uncanny.
It is one of those foods. Yeah, honestly, I almost as a leftover kind of prefer it cold. Might be weird.
Yeah. You ever make a sandwich out of it?
I have. That's a good time.
Yeah,
good old meatloaf sandwiches.
only in America. Let's make a loaf of meat.
I mean, you have what the double decker or whatever it's called, the KFC, with the chicken sandwich where it's two chicken things and bacon and
KFC Double Down.
The Double Down, yeah.
How ridiculous is our country?
We'll find out later today as we get into some really crazy news stories.
Exactly.
But Greg, how's your week been going?
It's been all right. And I'm trying to think of anything interesting, story, fun, out and about wise, and I really don't have one, to be quite honest. I'm sorry, everybody. Yeah. Don't hate me.
You have failed this podcast.
I know.
We're actually recording this a little closer together than our normal podcast. You probably already listened to it. Maybe you have. We were just recently on the GeekCast Radio. They did a spotlight on our podcast. So go check that out if you wish. So our recording schedule is a little bit different. So in a short week, not that much to talk about, honestly, regarding our lives. When you're old, that happens. You kind of just, you work and then you go to sleep and then that's pretty much your day. So, but I know, Greg, you did get some cool stuff in the mail. Is that not true?
Yeah, if you guys are not listening to a lot of podcasts advertise for this company called Loot Crate. Especially if you've been listening to the Indoor Kids, they usually pimp Loot Crate a lot. We're not getting paid by Loot Crate at all. It would be awesome if we did. But I just signed up for it thinking it was sounded kind of interesting, and I finally got my first package from Loot Crate, and so I was gonna kind of go over with you guys the stuff that came in my Loot Crate. So first off, we have a Star Trek Tribble, and it's an exclusive one for Loot Crate. It comes in a special only for Loot Crate customers only color, and it comes in this lovely little plastic container for them.
They created their own color? I didn't even know you could do that. That is amazing.
Own color. Well, it's a special color for Loot Crate customers. It's kind of like this orangey blonde type of Tribble.
What's a Tribble, by the way? I'm showing my lack of Star Wars or Star Trek knowledge.
It's those little fuzzy creatures that multiply really quickly. So it's like a hornier, hairier version of me.
I don't think that's possible. But
if I was a tiny little ball. Second off, I got from the movie Alien. I have an Alien reaction figure, as they call it. It comes from my currently becoming my favorite company, Funko. It's not one of those vinyl pop figures. It's like a old school kind of like when Star Wars first came out, one of those Star Wars action figures. It's pretty neat. I didn't take it out of the packaging yet because it's kind of in those bubble packs, and I'm determining whether I should take it out or not.
Have you seen Alien, or is that one on your have not seen list?
That is one on my have not seen list. So, but I know of Alien. I think I've seen actually the one where it's Alien versus Predator. I think I've seen the entirety of that one, and it's probably the worst one out there, I bet, too.
Yeah, you have that and Alien Resurrection are both pretty bad. Yeah, we need to do a homework assignment because like I just have all this listing of things for Greg to watch that I don't know where to even begin. might be like an extra credit, like season-long semester project. It's like 20% of your grade.
I have so much stuff to do, Dan. I have so much stuff.
Well, you gotta watch Alien. You're gonna like it. That's what.
Okay, I'll try and get it in, Dan. Having a
there's
mental
Terminator and
Robot,
RoboCop.
Yeah, Terminator and RoboCop. Jeez. You just like skipped the decade of the 80s. It's like, yeah.
I didn't like the 80s though, because I didn't care for the music that much.
Get out of here. Just get out now.
I'm so sorry.
That is a personal affront against me.
Sorry, Chuck. The next thing that's in the box in the loot crate is a Firefly vinyl. Mal from Firefly, the captain of the ship. We have a little vinyl action figure. He's one of those, also by Funko. He's like a little mini mystery vinyl figure. It's kind of a different design than the regular vinyl pops, and he's pretty cool. Nicely put together he is. That sounds wrong. And then next up we have another item from Firefly. It's Firefly bank robbery money. So all it is pieces of paper. Like I have a stack of cash here that looks like it's from a different planet. It has a little band around it, like if you get a stack of ones, it's kind of stacked in there like that. I don't know what the hell I'm really supposed to do with that. I'm like, all right, this is kind of useless.
Just in case you travel to another land, you got some dough to
apparently, if I'm traveling galactically.
Sounds like they wanted to clear out some Firefly stuff out of the warehouse.
Right? Well, this is just paper. Here you kids go. Have fun with it.
If you went to the dorkiest strip club, you can make it rain, maybe.
I want to do that. Oh, I so want to do that.
The little club in Mos Eisley in Star Wars.
Oh, somebody should set that up with all the loot crate people and just have like just a stripper and like we'll trade in money, actual money for it, and so we'll make it rain with the money we get in the loot crate, but she'll actually get money and then she'll be like kind of cosplayed up. That'd be kind of interesting.
There's an idea there.
Yeah.
We can send you strippers in the mail. Is that what we're saying?
Yes, it's a subscription, a porn star subscription. We'll send it right to your door, or her right to your door, or him. It could be a lady. But next up, I have the Star Wars exclusive retro arcade magnet. It's kind of like, did you ever play the old school like Atari video game Asteroids?
Yes.
Where it's just like these little white outlines on a black background and everything.
Yeah, I've had a good time playing some Asteroids. I used to play that on my phone when that was like the best game you could get on your phone.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I got Asteroids and Pong. Oh, I am living it large.
But this one, it's they have it set to look like when the Millennium Falcon flies into the asteroid field and they go down that tunnel and it's actually a giant space worm.
Okay.
And so they have to fly out and everything. So they kind of have that scene going on the magnet. It's pretty cool. I don't know why mine the corners of it are kind of gnarled up a little bit. Not sure if that's typical of Loot Crate, but I could say that because they're not advertising with us. So I could give you an honest opinion, people. Next up, they give you a Star Wars poster. It's a 9x27. It's just a single sheet of paper in that size, and it's of Han Solo in carbonite. So that's pretty interesting. My walls are kind of filled at this point with artwork that's a lot more expensive than that. So I don't know what the hell I can actually do with it.
9 by 27? That's kind of an odd size.
Right. Well, they had to fit it inside the box that they send the stuff in, which they...
Send this poster back. It's too wide for our box.
Yeah.
Sounds like a panoramic or something.
It's very long. Like I said, it's Han Solo and the Carbonite, so it's very tall and very slim.
It has I heard it has a feature too. When you say, "I love this poster," it says, "I know."
Yeah, it's a little button down the bottom. And then the last two things, they give you a little pouch of Pop Rocks. I got green apple. I don't know what that has to do really with galactic stuff. I think they're just trying to get those out of the...
Starts with a G, you know.
Yeah.
Green apple.
It's candy from the future 20 years ago. So.
Well, they give you this little book, and that's what I'm reading each thing out of instead of having the box and taking everything out of it. But so their description is carbonated candy that crackles and pops on your tongue and will absolutely not kill you if combined with your favorite fizzy drink. Toss a packet of these little pop-in asteroids back and experience some nostalgia. So apparently they're just trying to tell you that they're like little asteroids to kind of put it in with the galactic theme, I guess.
Wow. I love how they have to put that disclaimer in there, like, you can drink soda with these, it's okay.
And then the last thing that they have in here is it's bonus digital loot. It's essentially they give you this little paper card, and you could go online and you can get an issue of Halo comic book, and so you just have a little redemption code, and you could go on there and redeem a digital comic to read. And that's everything in the box. And actually the inside of the box is kind of pretty cool, because you open it up and it's like a little diorama in there, where on the inside of the box they have drawn out like the inside of a spaceship, and you can kind of see R2-D2 on the side there a little bit. But that's kind of neat. You could set up your little Firefly figure in there like he's in Star Wars.
So is this the first one you got so far?
Yes, this is the first one I got. The last one out, I ordered a little bit too late, and so I actually had to wait a full month for this one instead of like signing up like a couple of days beforehand and not having that long to wait. So the suspense was kind of killing me in the meantime.
So you have like no idea what you're gonna get, just like a box of surprise?
Yeah, it's they tell you what the theme's gonna be. Like I knew the theme was galactic, and they kind of, oh, we've got a partnership going with Funko now, so there's gonna be some awesome Funko stuff. And they're like, oh, there's going to be something from Star Wars in there. There's going to be something from Star Trek, and there's going to be something from Firefly. And so they did that kind of stuff.
Oh, interesting. So are you overall satisfied with the first box you got?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I think it's like, it depends on how long you're going with it. If it's just 1 month, 3 month, or 6 month of what your savings are. And I think it's about 12 or $13 a month. And I think for the amount of stuff, like I think the reaction figure might be something that's like near $10 just by itself. And so with the other added stuff like the Tribble and everything, I think they do kind of give you a good value for the money you're paying. It's just that some of the stuff is kind of trinkety type of things, like the Pop Rocks. And there's actually a button in there too, which says that you've gotten the galactic loot for this month and everything. So it's interesting. I don't think it would be really for everybody, and there's definitely stuff in here that maybe is not for me, like that money stuff. The money from Firefly is just kind of a weird thing to have in there. So I think you're going to have stuff like that. But overall, it was pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm sure it's stuff you don't like. You can throw on eBay and be like, here, Firefly fans, go nuts. So,
yeah.
Very cool. Yeah.
But I do like the strip club, galactic strip club idea, though.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. We'll write that one down and see if we can make it work. But Chuck, I believe you're going to keep the comic book theme going. Like, we talked a lot of comics last week. Have you also kept it up and read something this week?
I have. I'm taking down my list with small swings of the axe. The mighty oak will fall. Um, I have a big list to read here, so I kept that. This was actually something that a friend at work gave to me to borrow, and it's called The Lamb and the Fuhrer. It was a trade paperback by Kingstone Comics, which is a different company that we're not used to talking about. This book is written by Dr. Ravi Zachariah, and the art is by Jeff Slemons and Jeff Isherwood. It's very new comic. It just came out this year, and basically it's about Hitler's final moments before he killed himself when the war was lost, and then it kind of covers his conversation with Jesus, and then one of the very men that he had executed, Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who was an advisor to Hitler, that ended up attempting a plot to kill Hitler and failed, and so Hitler had him executed. So you have this dynamic of Hitler, the one that so many people would point to if you asked them, like, who's the most evil person you can think of, and then you have Jesus Christ. Yeah. And then on the other hand, you have Jesus Christ, the Son of God and the most morally sound person to ever live, and they're having this conversation about Hitler's life. And in the first half is all like the like how the events happened and everything, and from what they know about his last days and his last moments and everything. So towards like the second half of the book, you have Jesus talking to him in a very rational way, and he's pointing out how Hitler missed the whole point of leading a nation. It's not to be done by force but by service. You serve your people and you show love for them, not try to force them to follow your will. And Hitler never understood this, and he through the book he just doesn't get it. So this is a very interesting meeting and conversation between these three men, and the writing in this is spectacular. I mean, if you've ever wondered what kind of person could do the things Hitler did, what would it be like to see and hear him? This is a take on it that's very interesting and very believable, in my opinion. The art throughout the whole thing is really great. It's a very modern style of comic art, very enjoyable visually through the whole book, and I would highly recommend the book to anybody. It was a great read. I especially would recommend it to somebody that's really into history. Dan, I especially think you would be into it, and maybe Greg too, because of you guys having an interest in history in general, and Dan even some World War II history, and it kind of talks about the place of some of the things he did and the politics and how it relates to morality and stuff like that. But I honestly think anybody can pick it up and enjoy it. Really, really interesting concept, and I was pleasantly surprised when I read it because I wasn't sure, what to expect.
So is Keystone Comics, is that based out of Pennsylvania?
No, it's Kingstone Comics.
Oh, Kingstone, okay.
King, yeah.
Interesting.
I thought it was Keystone as well.
Yeah, well, my nasally raspy voice once again, messes stuff up. But
yeah, I mean that's a kind of an interesting concept. I know when we did like the Party of Six episode with different conversations with all the people that would be there, that'd be one that would be kind of take part of that would be rather insane a little bit.
The book can get very intellectual in spots because the author is a super smart guy.
Oh yeah.
And it does get wordy at spots, but it works itself out, and it ends up being a solid book. And honestly, like, I had never heard of this at all, and one of my friends at work told me about it and said he would let me borrow it and everything, and I was like, okay, what's this gonna be like? And I read it and I was kind of blown away. It was actually really, really good. And Kingstone Comics, they got some great writers and some great artists over there. And I've seen some of the other stuff that they have available. Their stuff is cheap. It's like $10-12 for like a trade. So there's some other things that I have my eye on that they're going to be coming out with. So it's pretty interesting.
Is it mostly historical based like this one, or is it kind of run the gamut?
I think it's mostly like history and Christian based stuff like that.
Okay.
But they have stuff like the David and Goliath fight. Like I would love to see that in comic form because that's something that I would think would be really cool to see. Just the whole thing of slaying the giant and everything. I think that would be a good read as well.
Very cool. Awesome. Very nice. And the finish before we get to our big stuff today, I know we all got the opportunity to, I know not fall movie season, but fall television season has begun, and one of the bigger shows of the debut has finally come out, and that is Gotham, and I believe we've all had the opportunity to watch it. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So I guess, one episode in, you can never be too sure of the pilot. Sometimes pilots are great and the show's not very good. Sometimes pilots are awful. The show ends up being pretty solid, but what are our first impressions regarding the show of Gotham, Greg? After watching the first episode, do you feel like it's a show you'll continue with?
I'll try to. You know me, I usually don't remember when something's on or something will happen, and I'll miss an episode and won't be able to see it ever again. So hopefully I will. I really enjoyed it. My favorite thing from the whole thing was just seeing the villains for the most part. Actually, they're not the main characters, but I really enjoyed seeing the villains and like everything that took place with them and how they got them involved. And overall, it was great acting by the entire cast. The story was pretty good. I don't think it was too spectacular, but it was solid. It didn't go over my expectations, but it definitely met them. And after seeing in different movies the death of Bruce's parents, I think that was seeing it now in TV form. I think that was the show's biggest downfall. So if that's the show's biggest downfall, is that they couldn't keep up with a movie production value or suspense with that, I think they're doing all right, even though they can't keep up with that.
Yeah, Chuck, what did you think?
I liked it. I thought it was exciting. Kept my interest for sure. I like Greg. I didn't think it was anything spectacular. It didn't like blow me out of the water or anything. I did have some issues with it, which I can get into in a minute, but I do like how they used the Wayne murders as their kind of like their launching point in the events immediately after that. I like how they went about finding the killer, but kind of touched on how big of a deal it would have been to the city because of the high profile nature of the case, with the Waynes being like the richest people and the most well respected people in Gotham. And it's funny because I wasn't watching the clock when I was watching the show. And when they caught this Mario Pepper guy and everyone thought mystery solved, I was like, okay, that's the end of the episode. That was all right. And I didn't realize there was still like 20 minutes left to the show. So it was kind of funny, but they went some different directions with it, with the mob and the corruption of the police department. And I thought that was a really cool angle. And I like how they started off with that.
Yeah, I did like how the mob, in a way, it wasn't completely a bad guy. I guess to kind of spoil it a little bit, like how there was Falcone kind of had a little bit of a moral code, he still had some respect for the city, and how that kind of played out. That was surprising. I'm also a big fan of the actor.
Falcone, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. John Doman, he was in The Wire. He played a police chief in The Wire, and he was like one of the biggest tools in the world, but he played the part perfectly.
He's good at playing a tool, Dan. There was a show that I was watching on Netflix, and I need to get back into again. I forget exactly the title of it, but it was about the Borgia family, and he played the Pope in that, and he's real big dick in that.
Yeah. But going into this, I guess my goal was, my hope in seeing this was, okay, well, this isn't a Batman show. It's supposed to be in Gotham, so is the main story going to be interesting enough to keep my attention? And it was, and I agree that I think the cast is rather strong.
Yeah.
The guy who's playing James Gordon, Ben McKenzie, I think he is good. He doesn't necessarily... His persona is not necessarily what I would think of as a Jim Gordon, per se. He's a little bit more action hero-y. I mean, he's a little bit more... I always viewed, like, Jim Gordon as more like an average... Not an average cop, but like a guy who is not like... a GQ model, but, it's a TV show, so not a big deal. But I think McKenzie's charismatic enough, and also, Donald Logue, to me, is a great actor. He's been in a lot of great stuff, so...
Oh, yeah.
He works, funny. He works well as Bullock. They have an interesting, like, give and take there. So I think it does have a strong cast. I wasn't the biggest fan of Jada Pinkett Smith in her role. I thought she didn't work out all that well. But everybody else, like the guy who played Penguin,
I thought he was great.
yeah. I do think though, like my worry is, I know it was a pilot episode, but I felt like they were shoehorning in like, hey, look at this character. Hey, look at this character, like kind of left and right.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I just hope they kind of dial that back because one, you're going to run out of characters, and
Yeah.
and two, it's like I don't know. It just feels like you're doing that as fan service, not in service of the story. And I mean, like for example, there's Poison Ivy as a kid, and I don't necessarily think you needed that. Like it didn't add anything except it didn't. If anything,
Yeah.
it was unnecessary. So that I had an issue with. So I hope they kind of stop doing that to go on. But I think overall it was successful, and I'm looking forward to more episodes. But Chuck, you mentioned you had some issues as well.
Yeah, and I agree with yours there. Too many villains revealed for one episode. I think, kind of like take it back a notch. You have plenty of episodes to try to like introduce some of these characters, and it was just like it just seemed too convenient to me. It's like, okay, they're talking to this guy, and it just so happens that guy, he's gonna become the Riddler, or whoever. And like you mentioned, the Poison Ivy one, that one was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back for me. I was like, okay, like that's a little bit too convenient that happens to be the exact.
And she's stroking a plant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was a little much to throw in the first episode. I think they could kind of spread that out a little more.
Yeah, like I didn't mind the little nod to like Catwoman, like the girls playing Catwoman, because that was just like almost like just a nice little bookend thing that didn't really affect the story. That to me was fine, but yeah, the Poison Ivy thing was just a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah, and the second thing, I guess when I started the show, this is something that I kind of was seeking to find out, and that was the time period. So I'm watching for certain things, and I see as a cell phone in the one scene, and it kind of rings and everything, but I'm still confused because they're driving this old like 80s car around for their police car, and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like, I'm not sure if are they 80s, 90s, are they current? Like, I don't know. What did you guys get from that?
I was surprised. I felt like it was current time because some of the technology they had. I thought it'd be more either like timeless or I don't know. To me, it felt like it was just almost like Tim Burton's movie in 1989, which was a little bit of it existed in like a time warp where it was a combination of old and new stuff. I don't know, Greg. What did you think?
You kind of said everything there, Dan. I kind of agree with you. I think it's supposed to take place in present time though. And they're just trying to give it a little bit of a old school, gritty police drama cop car with an older car. It was a very nice looking older car. It looked like it was in great condition. I think they should have scuffed it up and made it look a little scummier. Give it a little bit more old time feel, and maybe make it feel like we're in present time, but they just have an old scummy car.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I'm not positive, but I think there were computers on the desks at the police department. I could be wrong, but just the whole look of the inside of their police department kind of had that old look to it,
Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised it wasn't very stylized at all for a Batman TV show. It was shot just like a normal cop show. I don't know if that was intentional. There was some
except for the whole thing which they seem to do in everything to do with Batman. When they show Gotham, there's just a shit ton of fog and steam and smoke in the streets. I'm like, whose freaking city looks like that? Like, that's not really realistic, but they seem to do that when they represent Gotham. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there were some like little camera tricks. There's this one came out of nowhere. It was when Gordon was like chasing down the guy through like the kitchen, and like they pan really quick to like a third person where you're looking right at his face, like almost like a GoPro shot for a few times. I'm like, why are they doing that? It was like a weird action shot. It wasn't anything huge, but I felt like, okay, they're trying to come up with some sort of staple from the show, and here's a shot that we're going to use, and it didn't really do much. But
yeah, one thing too that I really didn't like was they did obviously cover Bruce Wayne, but to me it looks like they're making him just too dark and brooding already.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, he should still be in this grieving and mourning stage where he's crying. I mean, he's like, was he like 8 years old, for crying out loud? And you have, Jim Gordon come in the house and talking to them, and he makes a comment about he's glad that the guy's still alive or something. It's like, what kid would say that? They're just making him too dark already. And he's like, oh, I'm trying to conquer my fears. I'm like, no, you're not. You're 8. Okay? Like, you're not going to be Batman for like another 12 years. So
Yeah.
I do like the fact that Gordon kind of pinned like his fate on Bruce Wayne. I thought that was kind of interesting, with knowing that he's going to become Batman one day, and kind of the start of their relationship.
Yeah. And I do like also, I guess, I don't want to say like, I didn't overly like it, but it was a different twist how they kind of made Catwoman as a witness to the murder of his parents.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Right at the beginning of the show, it's like the first scene, and she's kind of there to see it, and it's like, okay, that's a little bit different twist.
I like the Catwoman that they have going on. She kind of gives me a Alyssa Milano feel. I'm just going to let you guys carry that thought off to where you want to take it, because I don't want to explain why I think that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm curious like how that's going to work with guarding Bruce Wayne, and if he's going to become more, if he's going to be in the show that much, or is it just he's just here every so often, or how that's going to work. So
yeah,
because after a while they're going to be like, well, where's Batman? I don't know. So.
It made me wonder, they're showing Catwoman in these different sequences, never actually giving her any lines or anything, but it's like, okay, are they going to try to cultivate a relationship between these two? Since like she's obviously still young too, but it's curious, moving forward, what they're going to do with that.
Yeah, I would hope they don't bring Bruce Wayne in that much, because then it becomes like just noticeable the fact that you're not watching a Batman TV show. So
yeah.
But yeah, anything else about Gotham before we take a break?
I would just like to say that Alfred was a little bit more outspoken and spunky than I envisioned.
He's also sounded very Australian.
Yeah. Random stuff.
Yeah. He seemed a little younger than I expected. I was like, who's that guy? Oh, it's Alfred. Weird.
Like Alfred should always be old. He was born old.
Yeah. It's just like, it just seems weird. But yeah, I guess it makes sense since, Bruce is a younger kid, that Alfred would be younger. But still, it just seems weird. It's awkward. It'd be like seeing Mr. Feeney as a young guy. It's like, that doesn't seem like it works. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be getting into the weird and the wacky. So we'll see you in a bit.
Grab your helmets, because it's time to assemble Mask. Mask Mayhem is here with your hosts TFG and Mike, Optimus Solo, and brand new host Toon Master Tim. This podcast, covering all 75 episodes of Mask, will feature in-depth analysis of every episode, talking the toys, and more. Mask Mayhem will run 30 podcast episodes. You can find us on iTunes and www.geekcastradio.com. So get your spectrums ready, as podcasting is the ultimate weapon.
On the Simplistic Reviews podcast, we talk movies. We talk TV. We talk...
Hello, Julie, what the heck are you doing?
Trying to make our spots sound more exciting by adding explosions.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could have got the point across with sound effects, not the real thing.
Car. Download the show on iTunes or at simplisticreviews.blogspot.com.
I'm sure your insurance company will cover that.
No, they won't.
No, they probably won't.
All right, and welcome back. And like I mentioned at the top of the show, today we're going to be getting into some strange but true news stories. We've done this a couple times so far. We've unearthed, some odd things, some people getting stuck in some awkward places, and some weird theories regarding dolphins and Vladimir Putin. So, who knows what we're going to get into. But I don't know. Well, you guys would like to start this today? I have a couple stories, and you guys have a couple stories. Nothing really big, but anything jumping out to you that this is where we need to start.
I have something, but it's not really news. I found it on Reddit, and it's a subreddit called "Today I Fucked Up" that I would like to read and discuss. Maybe is that all right?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay, so this one's labeled "Today I fucked up by trying to have sex with a woman in the woods."
All right.
So I've been seeing this girl for a few weeks, and last night was her birthday. After having a few drinks downtown, I suggested we take it back to my place. We've had sex several times already. Make sure he emphasizes that. Good job, bud. She says, how about you fuck me in your car? Now, my car is a small Hyundai, and I tell her that it would probably be an impossible feat. She's drunk and insistent, however, so I comply. 20 minutes later, we're bouncing around on a small forest service road outside of town looking for a suitable place to get it on. Me, being a little paranoid, decided to take my car down what appeared to be a small quad trail, just to be certain we wouldn't be interrupted. I put on some music, we took off our clothes, and proceeded to get things going. My original assessment of the situation was accurate, however. My car was too small for her comfortably to get on top. It ended up being frustrating for both of us. Let's have sex on the hood of my car, I suggest. We pile out of my car, both stark naked and getting things going on the hood. All at once, in a suddenly sobering moment, I hear my car door shut, and I realize that the engine is running. She recognizes the severity of the situation as well. Shit, we are locked out. We were. And we shuffled to the passenger side door, trying not to slip and slide in the slick mud, which now coated our feet. I don't know why they took their shoes off. The passenger doors was locked as well. Fortunately, the window was cracked open a few inches, however, and she reached her arm and tried to unlock the door from the inside. This was easily the least sexy moment of my life. As we were both standing there in the moonlight trying to gain access to my car, my worst fear was suddenly realized. I saw headlights coming up the road. Shit! Car, I yelled. With the intensity of a bomb-defusing scene in an action movie, I stood behind her, sweating bullets and urging her to hurry. Suddenly, she yelled, I got it! She unlocked the door, and I quickly ran to the driver's side. Evidently, I ran too quickly, however. I ended up slipping and falling balls first in mud.
Oof.
It's got to hurt landing on your balls. The headlights were almost on me when I scurried back to my feet and hopped in the driver's seat. She was freaking out and yelled, go, go, go! I slammed it into drive and whipped the car around to go down the road from where we came. Earlier, I mentioned that it was a quad trail and that I drive a small Honda. As I attempted to complete a hasty U-turn, my tires fell into the deep ruts in the road and I was stuck. I frantically shifted the car from first gear to reverse, but we were legitimately stuck. We sat there vulnerable in our car, still naked and muddy, helpless, watching as we're slowly broadsided by a couple of pickup trucks. They put their vehicles in park and stepped out. The girl I was with quickly covered herself with random clothing articles in the car. A middle-aged dude approached the car with first a look of concern, then suddenly a look of awkwardness and alarm overtook him as he noticed both of us were naked. Y'all stuck? He asked, trying to hide a smile. In the end, he and about 4 other guys helped me push my car out of the ditch. I enthusiastically waved with one hand, covering my junk with the other. Thank you, we appreciated it, I shouted, and they all just laughed.
Wow. Reminds me of, well, not a great
what does it remind you of, Dan?
Not a great way to respond to that, no, but reminds me of a time when we went to this corn maze and one of our friends' cars got stuck in the mud. And, yeah, so it got stuck. We couldn't push it out. And then our other friend Dan came around. He has like I forget what he has, like an SUV of some sort. So he ties the car, he ties the rope to the car and tries to pull it out, gets in his car, throws in the drive. It's a really, really muddy road because it's the winter or the fall in Pennsylvania, so there's mud everywhere. And when he guns it, the car doesn't move at all, but what does move it is what he tied it to, which was like his underneath bumper, including what we later found out was the fuel line. So
I knew it was the fuel line because you could see the door for the fuel push in as he's driving away, and then you could see the pipe knock out of the back.
Yeah, and it just like went all over the place. And then the funnier thing happened when that guy had to then, it was at where we lived. The only other option at that point was calling his parents. And that was an awkward conversation that I can tell you that I don't know much about cars, but I was put on the spot at that moment. So it was interesting. I felt really bad. It was someone trying to do a nice thing and it just ended up working out. I laugh at it at the time because it was kind of funny, but it's one.
You guys, Danny knows a lot about gas parts. That's all I'm saying. You know a lot about gas parts, Dan.
I do know. So I do know a lot about. I do now know a lot about gas parts. But yeah, so be careful when you're pulling stuff out of mud, especially if it's a naked body. I guess I don't know how those two relate, but yeah, interesting. All right, Chuck. I don't know how you follow, that, but what do you got for us today?
Well, this is a story that kind of hits close to home for us Pennsylvania folk. And it doesn't really represent us in the best light, I gotta say. But,
that seems shocking.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This, well, first I'll read the headline, which will pretty much sum up everything. And here's the headline. Man caught trying to take pictures up women's skirts at Walmart.
Oh, why would you do it there?
Man.
Of all the places.
Apparently he's never seen the women that frequent Walmart, or else he would not have chosen to try to take pictures of them.
He could have got some of Greg's fake money. Just, I'm sure you'd be able to get a free show. So.
Or you could just go to, peopleofwalmart.com. And they're just as revealing pictures. You won't even need to.
Like the lady who has no shirt on, she just tucks everything into her pants.
Oh gosh, that one's terrible. Or the old man that takes a plastic Walmart bag and cuts the bottom out and wears it as a tank top.
Nice. There you go. They say no shirt, no service, but I'll get around that, I guess.
This took place in Union County, Pennsylvania, which isn't too awful far from where we're at. It's, probably like an hour away or something. But yeah, it was all over the internet, and everybody at work was joking about it. We all got a big laugh out of it. I mean, obviously, it's a very disgusting act, and the picture they show of the guy too is just priceless. Like the guy just looks. They caught him on the surveillance cam, like doing it, I guess, and he just looks like he's totally surprised by something, like getting caught or something. I don't know, but it's pretty freaking funny. I don't know why the hell you would choose Walmart to do this.
No, jeez. I guess he figured like they wouldn't mind.
I guess. I mean, maybe he works for peopleofwalmart.com, so I don't know.
Yeah. Wow. Well, there you go. That's amazing.
Yeah.
God bless America.
So you're up, Dan. What do you got?
All right. Well, this too took place near where I live, but I guess it's okay because the guy wasn't technically from our area. It caught my eye because the headline's just kind of funny. But it's driver busted in Maryland with cocaine trail. Thought he was in Chicago. So basically, this is a Chicago man who took a wrong turn while driving in Chicago and ended up in Maryland. So I've gotten lost before, but I don't think I've ever gotten that lost. But he was, obviously drunk, and being drunk, he was becoming drowsy. So then to remedy that, he then decided to remedy that with what else but cocaine. And when he was arrested, he was covered in cocaine. His mouth, his nostrils, it was on his shirt, his pants, everywhere. Basically, he jumped into like a cocaine mountain. And needless to say, he was arrested, and he, I think, pleaded stupidity. I'm not sure, but yeah. Somehow, if there's any reason not to do drugs, I mean, I personally can't stand it when I get lost driving, but, getting lost and ending in, near Annapolis, Maryland, when you're in Chicago, maybe you need to, I just wonder, how do you even do that? That's just insane. So.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
But, yeah. So, Greg, you have any other crazy stories? Any other?
I have one here. Apparently happened in Florida, of course.
Yes.
And it kind of goes with my my theme from last time of burglars sleeping on the job. Cops apparently photographed an alleged sleeping Florida burglar. Apparently, cops took pictures of this guy while he was snoozing next to a bag of jewelry he was planning to take. It doesn't really say why he was sleeping next to the bag of jewelry, but it's great. He's sleeping right on, well, sort of on a bed. He's like, his legs are all the way down off the end of the bed, kind of forming a 90-degree angle, and then like his lower back just is on the edge of the bed, and then the rest of him on up is on the bed, and he's got the hands over his chest and everything, and he's just got a bag of goodies in like the crook of his arm, just like he's just laying there. Why are burglars falling asleep during all these robberies?
You mean
They have a lot of confidence that they're not going to get caught, I guess.
maybe burglary? I mean, it's a lot. It burns a lot of calories. He got tired. He needed a little nap. You know.
And apparently he didn't wake up as they were taking pictures of him. And apparently he might have been a relation to you, Chuck. His last name was Davis.
Yes. Let's represent that family crest.
Dion Davis.
Oh,
Dion. Oh,
Dion.
Sure wasn't Deion Sanders. I mean, like, are we sure about that?
No, it was a white dude.
First law of robbing the bank: fall asleep after you rob the bank.
Right? Take a nap beforehand. Like,
I know. It's common courtesy, really.
you got to be really confident in yourself and not have any nerves at all, like to just fall asleep while you're robbing a place. I'd be shaking constantly going in if I was stealing stuff.
People can't like fall asleep if they're not in their own bed. This guy falls asleep in the store he just robbed. Nice. Chuck, you got anything else?
Yeah, I got another one here. I think this tops my last one as far as making me laugh. This was even funnier, but apparently this happened somewhere in Texas. So we're hitting all over the map today. And I got this story from a British website, so the wording is a little funny. I'm not used to the way they refer to this, but the headline reads, "Takeaway employee," which is basically like takeout, works at a takeout place, but takeaway employee rubbed genitals on pizza, but customer caught him in act.
And said, "Please do it more."
Apparently, this guy was like 18 years old, and he was working at this pizza place. I think it's like Papa Murphy's or something like that. And it was like a half an hour before they were closing, and someone called in to order a pizza. So, this guy naturally was ticked off that they were calling a half hour before closing time. So after he made the pizza, he proceeded to kind of, stick his junk in the pizza. And I guess the people happened to walk in to pick it up, and they saw him doing it and everything. And yeah, and they said, "Hey, we didn't order sausage and meatballs on it." But
They did order some Fromunda cheese on there.
Yeah. "Hey, boss, we're out of mozzarella. What should I use?" "I use the Fromunda."
Wow.
But yeah, apparently, I mean, maybe he's just trying to be nice and upgrade him to a stuffed crust. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's I don't know. But
I always wondered how they stuffed that crust, and now I'm never gonna have it because
the part I don't get is like, why would you do that to like, why would you pick that as the thing you do? Like, why wouldn't you, if you're gonna do something like that, like rub some dandruff in or hawk a loogie or something, like, why would you take the chance of burning your balls on hot cheese? Like, I don't understand that.
Maybe that was his thing. He gets off on that. He's like, "Oh, I was only doing it to make them mad," but it's in reality, he just really loves
pizza.
Putting it on.
Maybe he was doing a variation on the American Pie thing. I don't know.
He watched too much Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Really, we finally found the one person who loves pizza more than Michelangelo. So,
needless to say, I guess an employee at the place said that he has since been fired. This guy, of course, I mean, they don't want to look bad and everything, but yeah, pretty crazy. And if that gets you laughing, I would highly recommend a movie that Greg introduced me to called Waiting, starring Ryan Reynolds.
the hostess is freaking gorgeous in that. Just saying, people.
Yeah, we heard about the hostess.
The hostess with the mostest. Yeah, interesting. And my story kind of relates to that in a little bit. Again, teenagers do really stupid things sometimes, I guess. And these teenagers are, going around the globe and are going around the United States. And these people were in Michigan. And, two teenagers are, I guess, doing some sort of prank, trying to be funny. So they vandalized their high school football field in a very, very special way. They decided to make some artwork using, basically weed killer and grass killer, and they drew a gigantic penis on the football field that you can see from there's an actual aerial shot of it, like I'll put it in the episode post. It's like, you probably wouldn't notice it from the stands, but a couple 100 feet up in the air, you see this rather well endowed football field. And the thing I forgot to mention, teenagers will do stupid things. The worst part about this, a 50-year-old mom helped them do it. So, it was...
No, honey, you gotta make the balls a little bit bigger, sweetie. There you go.
I mean, that's the thing. First of all, it's a 50-year-old woman doing this, which is ridiculous. And secondly, that's a thing you did with your mom. It's like, all the cred that you would have gotten from all your friends for doing it is kind of immediately destroyed when you realize, you mean you were drawing a gigantic penis with your mom? Isn't that kind of awkward? Why would you do that? I don't know.
Either that or they're like, your mom is so cool. Depending what part of the country you're in.
Yeah.
Florida, totally acceptable.
That sounded like Nicolas Cage. Maybe that's...
At that, I wouldn't put it past.
Yeah. But they ended up causing about $15,000 to $20,000 in damage, which is obviously not that funny, but it's just like, oh god.
Couldn't they just cut the grass?
Well, it's Britain. The grass is completely removed, so it's like it was a grass killer. So it's, unless they made it like completely a dirt field. So, I just want to know how long it took them to realize that that's what it was. It's like, these holes are oddly shapen. What could this possibly be?
Or they could have just hired one of those really good artists to turn the picture into something else.
Yeah. Very cool. Greg, do you got anything else, or are you up stories?
Well, I have a story, but I'm more interested in the title of it than the actual anything that goes on in the story, because the title essentially reveals what's going on. Cop crashes into Dunkin' Donuts in New Jersey. He accidentally rams into the storefront of Dunkin' Donuts with his cop car.
Because it's so good you can smell it.
Yeah. There was nobody hurt, so we could definitely laugh at it. And the building has some structural damage, but cop really wanted his donuts that morning.
I feel like that's something that would have originated in a Family Guy episode.
Yeah. I mean, that's just... I hate to be... That cop's never going to live that down, ever. It's just going to be like...
Yeah, never.
Yeah. So, did he ever explain, why it happened? Was he just overly eager and thought...
No, they said that nothing has really come out of why it happened. It's just one of those things, I guess. I
guess you put, cops and donuts together, eventually, the two will meet in awkward ways.
Apparently, there's so many calories even in their smell that he took a heart attack and crashed into it. I don't know. Man. What was it? Dunkin' Donuts or Krispy Kreme or?
It was the Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, okay. America runs into Dunkin'. Change the slogan there a little bit.
You have to go to Krispy Kreme for your donuts, and you have to go to Dunkin' Donuts for the coffee. That's my rule that I live by.
Yeah, I worked at Donut Connection, which is like the bastard child of the two. That they
bastard child.
It really is, and yeah. So I'm not a big fan of donuts for whatever reason. I eat them here and there, but
I gotta say, my high school principal was a pretty big fan of Krispy Kreme.
Yeah,
Dan remembers that.
I do. Yeah.
We had an assembly the day that it opened in town, and he's like, "A great thing happened this summer. Krispy Kreme opened." We're like, "Yeah, can we go back to class now?"
And the sad thing is that was like the biggest thing that did happen this summer in that area. So yeah. But Chuck, you any other stories?
I have a couple of things. One is a quick one. I'll do it, and then if you have another one, you can come back to me later or whatever. But my quick one is apparently a group of people got together to break a Guinness Book World Record. They were able to get together 542 people dressed as Batman.
Nice.
In one place, yes.
I'm Batman.
So that was a world record that they officially counted it. Everyone was in a Batman costume, and
it was a world record for safest location in the history of the world.
Yeah, and reports say that there was a traffic jam immediately afterwards as everyone's mom tried to pick them up at the same time. Yeah, pretty funny though. There's actually a video on it that was kind of funny.
Yeah, that's crazy. Greg, got anything? Are you spent?
I'm spent.
I have one more story. It's really, again, another really quick one. One I just thought was kind of funny. Just one of those things where it's like, really, like, why would that even be? Like, what is the point of that happening? And simply, the headline is, Jorge Perez arrested after washing hair with mayo in public fountain. So...
Wow.
Not the condiment that I would use.
I know. Of all condiments, you go to mayonnaise. It's just in the public fountain.
I'm thinking he had lice, because don't you use mayo if you have lice? I've heard that that's what you use to, like, get rid of the larva or something.
I have not heard that. I feel like that was just, I don't know. Maybe mustard. You think that would be, you got the spice there?
Now, was it mayo or was it Miracle Whip?
It said mayo. I don't know. I mean, that's what
there's a big difference.
There really is. I think it was old-fashioned, the one you need to use with a spoon, or that's in the jar. It doesn't squeeze out of a bottle. The old school stuff.
Yeah, the real mayonnaise.
Yeah, the real mayonnaise. So
that's my favorite.
Yeah. Man, mayonnaise is such a weird thing, yet tastes good in the right places. So, I don't know.
Yeah, but too much of it, and it's disgusting.
No, not in your hair. Like, in your hair, I don't think it's going to do much. I mean... Maybe it'll make it shiny, I guess. I don't know. But, I mean, that's got to be a weird thing to get arrested for, right? It's like, why are you in here? I washed my hair with mayonnaise. Like, don't get near that guy.
Don't mess with him. He's tough.
That dude is a badass. When we do our badass bracket, mayonnaise hair is definitely going to be on it for sure. All right, I'm all out of stories, but Chuck, you said you have one more?
Yeah, I just have a couple of quick funny things, and... This is funny coming from me because these are funny tweets that I found.
Nice.
It's funny because I'm not on Twitter, so it's kind of funny. But I found this article that talked about some of the funnier marketing tweets that they found with like companies going back and forth with people, like actual companies that are on Twitter and stuff. And these, I think they're pretty recent. I'm not sure exactly when all of them are from, but the article was recent. And there's just a few of them here, but the first one, somebody tweeted at the company Wonderful Pistachios, and they said there has to be some sort of addictive ingredient in pistachios. And the company replied, "It's the crack in the shell."
Nice.
I thought that was kind of funny. And let's see, the next one, some guy tweeted at Sega, and he said, "What I wouldn't give for Sega to make a new Jet Grind game." And Sega replied to the guy whose Twitter handle is @HotPikachuSex. Sega replied, "What I wouldn't give to have not read your username." Let's see. The next one is actually one that's two companies going at it. It's the Old Spice deodorant company versus Taco Bell.
And it's a weird combo.
Yeah, very,
one
weird.
Makes you smell better. One causes a lot of bad smells at the end of the day. So
they need each other. They really do.
Yeah.
But Old Spice kind of started the whole thing, and they said, "Why is it that fire sauce isn't made with any real fire? Seems like false advertising." To which Taco Bell replied, "Is your deodorant made with really old spices?" And Old Spice kind of crazily responded, "Depends. Do you consider volcanoes, tanks, and freedom to be spices?" They have the dumbest commercials. They really do.
Yeah.
I hate Old Spice commercials. And then the last one I have here is from Delta Airlines, and this is just a tweet that they put out there. Along with tweeting a picture of one of their planes, they wrote, "Baby got back. We like big jets and we cannot lie. This 737 is ready to fly." So, yeah, pretty crazy.
You think they would have updated it with Nicki Minaj's Anaconda song?
Yeah. you want a remix with that tweet? Is that what you're saying? Take that.
Yes,
tweet.
I want the remix. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny that when the these big corporate companies try to get all cool and hip and everything, and sometimes it's disastrous and sometimes it's pretty funny. But
yeah,
I know, Greg, you mentioned about somebody that actually favorited your tweets and stuff, like a bigger like company.
Funko.
With your Funko stuff, and
yeah.
Here you have like the Sega guy and the pistachios. Sometimes they don't turn out so good. They kind of make fun of the person, but
yeah.
funny nonetheless.
Like Freedom Spice or sorry, Old Spice. So
yeah.
For Freedom Spice.
I'm not calling it Freedom Spice now.
Yeah, Freedom Spice would be pretty awesome. I mean, that should be their new name.
It would.
Freedom Spice. America. That is it for the news of the weird. We do this every so often, some crazy, just making you realize just how screwed up the world you live in, make you feel better about yourself when you're not out making penis sculptures in football fields with your mom. So,
I feel like there's a common theme in a lot of our stories here.
Yeah.
Tonight.
Yeah. So don't order pizza, and don't wash your hair with mayonnaise. Is what we're saying.
Don't park in the woods to do stuff.
No. I wonder if they're all related. Maybe that guy who put his stuff on the pizza was going to meet that girl in his Fiat, and he before he got there, he needed to wash his hair with mayonnaise, and it's all connected in a gigantic circle. And one day, he went in the field with his mom to have some fun. I don't know. So
hashtag it's all connected.
It's all connected. All right, but we like to end each episode with a letter, and this week, Chuck, I believe you are up, correct?
I am. It was a tall order. I really didn't have a letter till about a half hour before we were recording this.
Nice.
Did not have any ideas, but I finally had something I've been kind of having in the back of my mind lately, so I just kind of wrote that down. But
cool.
Let's get into it. Dear avid TV watchers, in case the overabundance of hints on social media and video ads haven't completely slapped you in the face with this yet, allow me to formally introduce you to the new age of television, superheroes. I know there have always been TV shows about superheroes. It goes back to the old Superman with George Reeves and the Adam West Batman, Linda Carter's Wonder Woman, and even the long-running Smallville. But the age we've entered now is about to be all but dominated by superhero and or graphic novel influenced plotlines. It's true that every decade or two has its one genre that defines it for the most part. For a time, it was all the Western-themed shows. Gunsmoke, The Rifleman, Paladin, Bonanza, The Virginian, Cheyenne, Maverick, Rawhide, and on and on and on. Then, as I remember in the 90s, came the explosion of teenage drama and family shows like Full House, Home Improvement, Boy Meets World, Family Matters, Sabrina, Seventh Heaven, Saved by the Bell, Fresh Prince, and many more. Then the early 2000s saw a huge spike in cop and detective dramas such as NCIS and CSI, one for every city, of course. Criminal Minds.
Still waiting on that CSI Scranton.
Yeah. And others like Criminal Minds, Law and Order, etc. Of course, there are other types of shows on, but the airwaves seem to have been dominated by certain genres. But to me, at this moment, while still seeing many crime dramas, we are in the age of superheroes. I believe the aforementioned Smallville may have helped pave the way for this, even the Adventures of Lois and Clark to a degree. And obviously the influence of the big screen is undeniable. Let's just look at where we're at. 4 years ago, we saw The Walking Dead, based on a graphic novel, captivate a new generation of TV viewers. And 2 years ago, we were introduced to Arrow, based on DC character Green Arrow. As those shows continue into their 5th and 3rd seasons respectively, we see an outpouring of new lineups in the fall TV slate. Suddenly, there is The Flash, Gotham, Constantine, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and rumblings of future shows like Agent Carter, Supergirl, Teen Titans, and the Marvel Netflix series Daredevil, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Jessica Jones. Who? Exactly. Many years ago, we would have never dreamed of having some of these characters getting their own series. It seems with every passing month, there are rumors of another TV deal involving a comic character. So there it is. Let's just face it. This is the genre to define this time for the last few years and at least the next 5 to 10 years. What will it change to after that? Who knows? And who cares? I say we sit back and enjoy the full slate set before us, because if you enjoy the movies, and especially the comics, this is a great time to live in the timeline of TV history. Sincerely, Captain Chuck and the Geeks of Tomorrow.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, that is so true. We are getting tons of TV. I mean, we just talked about one today, and I'm sure we'll get into more as they come on. I mean, Walking Dead's coming out soon. Arrow, hopefully. I will be able to watch the 3rd season when I get caught up with the 2nd season. So it's been kind of crazy.
Yeah, so many shows coming out, and I hear rumors all the time. Like, I've been hearing these Supergirl and Teen Titans rumors and stuff like that, and everything's just taken off, you know.
I heard Suicide Squad. It is kind of crazy. That's a very good point about comparing it to westerns, because they are like the westerns of today. You know, westerns were everywhere. TV movies, there were tons of them, and I know people complain that there's too much, and sometimes I do too. But as long as there's good ones, and there's still good ones being made, I think we'll be okay.
Right. As long as they don't beat it to death.
Yeah. All right. Anything else before we bring this episode to a close?
I got nothing.
All righty. Greg, you got anything?
No, I'm spent.
And if you'd like to get in contact with us, there are tons of different ways. You can hit us up at the episode post at geekcastradio.com or nerdly.co.uk. We're on Twitter and Facebook. Just search Talking in Circles, TCRN. I'm also on Twitter, @MeRevolt. And Greg, what is your Twitter name?
I am at the Create Forge.
And Chuck, you still don't have a Twitter name that you would make up if you were on Twitter?
No, but I'm guessing it'd be something similar to @HotPikachuSex.
Oh, wow. Oh, yes, that is just odd. And also, leave us some iTunes reviews. We do love our iTunes reviews. Those are huge in helping people get in contact with the show and putting up on the iTunes ratings. Those are big. So do that, please. We appreciate it. You can also email us. Our email address is feedback@geekcastradio.com. Or you can send one directly to us at talkingincircles@live.com. But that's it for this week. We'll be back next week. Same time, same channel, same podcast feed. But for now,
this has been Chuck.
This has been Greg, or a troublesome tribble.
And this has been Dan, still not knowing what that is. And we've been Talking in Circles. We'll see you next time. That's really hard to say. Troublesome tribble.
I was patting myself on the back as soon as I said it. I'm like, good job, Greg. Nice.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Nice alliteration going. You nailed that shit. You're like the new Stan Lee with the Betty Brant and Peter Parker and J. Jonah Jameson. Troublesome tribbles.
What if you had a trinity of troublesome tribbles?
That'd be a lot of trouble.
That'd be fantastic. I don't know what fantastic is. It's a very fantastic tranny.
Fantastic trance music?